Alright everyone, welcome to week 5, 6? I don't even remember what week we are in of After Hours Gaming League. We have EA versus Amazon. This is the game to determine their seeding as we go into the final weeks of this After Hours Gaming League. So these two are actually tied in the rankings. So this is just to determine this is just a best of one to determine who is the higher rank.
Indeed, and I believe they're both tied at 4 and 3, so it's probably later than week 5. But I couldn't nail it down specifically. I'm going to say probably week 6.
I'm not good at keeping track of weeks. I'm not good at this thing. I have no idea what week we are in the LCS, what week we are in whatever.
Yeah, the LCS is a little bit tricky because they took a week off, and now they're flying to Dallas over here in America. I don't know what they're doing in Europe. Probably something equally funny. but certainly, lots of leagues, lots of games, and we are just about going to get going with these picks and bans. We have EA on Team 1 and Amazon on Team 2 here, so that'll be blue and purple, respectively. We've had the pleasure of casting EA a couple times. I think this is our first casting Amazon.
No, I think this is our second, actually.
Don't you back talking to me like that.
I remember this because what my mail does is I get stuff from Amazon sometimes, and when we're setting up these games, it accidentally puts the Amazon, the emails with the Amazon contact into the Amazon folder, so... that happened twice for me, so I remember that. So I remember that I casted for Amazon before. But anyway, we have the first two bands, Cat and Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate is actually seeing a lot more play now. He does have a lot of global presence, along with being a pretty strong mid.
Yeah, I think, when all the other champions start to get balanced, like when there's no outliers that are super strong and really dominant lane, then the global champions get even better, like Shen and TF, and we kind of seen that as of late in the competitive scene, especially at the IEM World Championships last week, and we had especially Gambit Gaming running a lot of Shen, a lot of teams running a lot of Shen, kind of like the old days when he didn't necessarily get dominated in lane, and then you have his global presence going later, and also I think CJ Frost liked putting him in the jungle. We do have a couple more bans. What are they?
They are Darius, Elise, and now Jace. So, I mean, Darius and Elise and Jace are all three champions who typically go in the top lane. So after a couple of mid bans, we see a couple more top bans coming out.
And a Xin ban as well, so a little jungler focus. Xin, of course, took some nerfs, still really strong. Actually, most of those people on that list took a couple of nerfs and are still kind of top of the heap. And the final ban coming out is a ban that I recommend to everyone all the time.
This is a pick.
Oh, what? What? So confused, Don't know what week it is, cannot count up to 6. So that is the 7th ban, also known as the first pick for Amazon.
Well, it is Singed, so there's bound to be some trolling going on.
Indeed.
So Singed actually has seen a lot more play since around the end of Season 2. Probably going to go in the top lane. And is just, as I said, a troll, just kind of farms up, and then goes into your team and flings people around.
We have that followed up with Kha'Zix and Amumu picked. So Amumu will probably go against that Singe in the top lane, right, Zero?
Yes, of course. And this can be Kha'Zix AD carry.
Oh, that's actually new and interesting. I would like to see that.
But yes, no, Amumu likely to go in the jungle. Kha'Zix could go top, but actually he's been more common in the mid lane lately.
Yeah, certainly. He doesn't necessarily beat up all the bruisers, but against those squishier mid lanes, he tends to be able to burst them down early levels, especially when he gets to 6, gets that little ultimate, gets those extra taste of fear, that extra passive damage, and goes to town. And now we're seeing Lee and Tarek as well to be added to the Singed for Amazon's arsenal.
Yep, and Tarek right now is one of the strongest support champions, if not the strongest, so picking that up pretty early. And Lee Sin, probably going to go in the jungle, but I mean, we've seen Lee Sin mid before as well.
Indeed we have, sir. Indeed we have. And yeah, Tarek took some big nerfs last patch, but it was more of a reworking than a nerf, although Riot's goal, as I stated, was, we need to nerf his late game presence with all his auras. But he still has a ridiculously good early game, and he still has ridiculous auras late game just through his ultimate radiance. So that's where we're at, where his winning rate really didn't go down at all, stuck around 56% in solo queue. And a lot of people are like, oh, he must not be that good because pros don't use him. But Curse was making a habit of like first picking him in a lot of LCS games, and that turned out really well for them until everyone else caught on and was like, oh, maybe we shouldn't give Curse Tarek every single game. Maybe we shouldn't allow him to be on their team every single time. So that strategy has kind of fallen by the wayside as everyone has recognized his strength.
Yep, and we see MF being picked up, Misfortune, and Lulu, who actually Sotia wrote an article about recently.
Oh, I did indeed. I'm the only person in the world who doesn't like Lulu, and then just to prove the fact that all the competitive players in the world really love her, she got picked like 26 times, 25 times over the course of the IEM Championships this past weekend, which was the most out of any champion and by far the most for supports. But to be fair, she only won like 52% of the time, and I figure
only 52% of the time.
Well, okay. I mean, so it was only 2 more games won than lost, but you also have to consider probably like the 2 best Lulu players in the world were at that tournament in Lustboy and Mad Life. So if anyone's really perfected her, it would be those 2. And she does tend to do better in the Korean scene than in the North American and European one, but even still, 52% out of like a highly valued character seems like a lot. And Thresh, on the other hand, was just banned out like 90% of the time. But he won like 72% of the 13 games he wasn't banned out of. So Thresh kind of the next new big thing, I think.
Yep, and Rise and Graves being picked up on the side of... whose side is this?
Amazon.
Amazon, okay.
Oh, no, Gasty is EA. My bad.
Yeah, Gasty is EA, so Rise and Graves are on Amazon's side. Right,
Indeed.
and then Vlad is on EA.
Yes, indeed. So we have Amumu and Vlad, Kha'Zix, MF, and Lulu. So a very big wombo combo they got going on for themselves against Singe, Lee, Tarek, Rise, and Graves, who are, kind of the opposite approach of a wombo combo. They have a lot of displacement, they have a lot of disruption, they have a lot of consistent damage thanks to Rise, thanks to Singed, but they really don't care so much about getting everyone lined up for their ultimates. Whereas on the other side of the coin, you're really going to want to see, Amumu, Vlad, and Misfortune stack those ultimates up best they can. And really, if they can pull that off, then the game is theirs. And if they can't, it's going to be rather, rather tricky because the consistent damage definitely seems to favor, the Rise and the Singed as they're about as consistent as you can get from the AP positions.
Yeah, and it's interesting because of those Rise and Singed picks, and even the Graves pick, the team is pretty tanky. Graves is probably the second tankiest AD carry after Urgot, and Tarek gives those auras, which helps the tankiness, and Rise builds up very tanky with the mana items, so a pretty tanky team right there. So if they are able to survive the burst from the Wombo combo, they should be able to put out that sustained damage to help them win the team fights.
I actually love Graves as a pick, and I love these teams. It looks like they might go through the actual champion bans. Elise was in fact a ban, as was Katarina. Going down the line, Twisted Fate banned as well. So both teams, keeping with the actual bans, which always makes us happy here from the caster's perspective, because we tend to forget the bans otherwise. So all you viewers will get to see those. I think Graves right now is kind of underappreciated. Like, I think his passive gives him underappreciated amounts of tankiness early game, but especially late game. I think late game no one accounts for it. Late game they're just like, oh, it's just Graves, he has shorter range. But they don't realize they need to put a little bit extra damage out there to kill him than they would any other AD carry, and sometimes it falls just short, and I've seen so many highlight clips of professional players like Chaos running around with Graves, with a Bloodthirster, just poking at people and gaining back that life and sitting at like 10% life throughout an entire team fight just because the other enemy team was like, oh, I thought I already killed him. What I did normally kills every other AD carry with that similar build. Why didn't it kill Graves? And it's thanks to just that little extra bits of armor and magic resistance from his passive.
Yeah, and you say little extra bits, but it's a significant amount, though, if he can get those stacks up.
And he should get those stacks up. It's not, even if he's just standing still, I think taking damage also stacks him up. So Graves is a tough mother. And Tarek is going to help him be even tougher, as you did so mention. On the other side, Amumu tends to have troubles with tankiness. If he gets behind, he really isn't sturdy enough, so he runs in there, uses his curse of the sad mummy, and then he gets blown up, and then the curse goes away, and then you're a really sad mummy, even more sad than usual. But Lulu's a great combination to go with a Mumu, because even after he locks them up, then he gets another pop-up, he gets that extra health, which a lot of times he needs, and no one can get away from him because he has that little slow aura around him. So really great combo there. Looks like we have a couple of unusual summoner spells picked up. I think those will swap. Hopefully, if any players are here watching, turn your eyes, avert your eyes, do not take note of the opposition summoner spells. We're not going to mention them, so we're going to have to trust you. But no big surprises. No big surprises is one thing I'll say.
Oh, I don't know. There's a surprising one, I'd say.
Shh.
It's the smite on the jungler.
Oh my goodness. And unfortunately, I just had an issue with crashing out. I'll be able to jump back into the game.
Okay.
One hopes.
Yep. So as Sotir gets back in, well, let's see if we can check some of these runes. Let me check one at random, because he isn't here to check them for me right now, as of yet.
Well, that is what I was attempting to do, and the...
Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't then.
Yeah, maybe you should not. We'll just speculate on the runes.
So, looking at Kha'Zix's runes actually right now, so has attack damage, armor penetration, armor, and magic resist, so pretty standard so far. And one interesting thing to note is that, wait, can we talk about masteries yet? Are we allowed to talk about masteries?
I think you may go ahead. I think we're in the 3-minute countdown.
Yeah, we are.
I have no idea since the launcher or the client decided to boot me.
Okay, so Singed is going with the Ghost Teleport, which is pretty common on Singed. How do you, I don't know, whatever. Singeds. Anyway, he is going to be able to teleport in. He is also going to be able to late game, be able to maybe split push a little bit and teleport in if he needs to, and it's going to give him a bit more presence around the map. And that Ghost is also going to help him to run around a little bit better. So both AD carries taking Cleanse. I mean, it looks like Misfortune could use that against stuff like the Snare from Rise and in lane the Stun from Taric. And Graves likes it because of that Curse of the Sad Mummy wombo combo that they had going on.
Yeah, and especially that Bandage Toss as well. Doesn't want to get locked up by that. I mean, I love Singed with Teleport. It gives you so many late game options, but early game, having Ignite actually allows you to dominate your lane. So certainly their team's going to have to, try to make use out of that teleport for it to make it worthwhile to give up that early advantage, because Singed actually has a lot of great matchups.
Yep. So Lee Sin also has an exhaust along with his smite, just to help give him more CC, and with all of his abilities, doesn't really need as much mobility help from the flash. So you see that sometimes, and it's going to help him in team fights to maybe jump in there against the Misfortune and get the exhaust on him, where Taric might not be able to go as deep.
Yeah, that was huge in Season 2, especially with Lee Sin and Mundo. And even some others taking that exhaust. Anyone who felt like they could run away from people, I guess Shyvana would be included in that bunch. But more people have gone for the extra mobility from Flash lately. It's good to see a little exhaust. It certainly allows, for a lot of early aggression with ganks, as well as that late game, utility that you mentioned in team fights that Lee Sin tends to fall off when that portion of the game comes around, when those team fights come. But if he does have that exhaust, then he's pretty darn useful being able to get to the back lines, because it tends to be you only have one exhaust on your team, generally carried by the support, and the support in team fights does not always get to the back lines to exhaust the opposing AD carry.
Yeah, and the strategy with Team EA is going to be to really just keep Misfortune pretty far back, have the lockdown with the Mumu and with Lulu ult, and have her use the bullet time to deal damage. So if he can go in there and get that exhaust on Misfortune before the bullet time goes off, that's going to be huge for his team.
Absolutely. I am actually in the champion the champion loading screen. I don't know where exactly you are.
I am as well, actually.
Very nice. We do see one thing that bodes very poorly for EA, and that is a full 5 of 5 skins. It shows devotion to the champions, but I always feel like it's just bad luck.
That Vladimir skin, though, I've actually never seen before.
Oh, really? It's an
Yeah.
old one.
Yeah,
I
it
like
is.
the
Yeah,
port.
I don't think the more popular ones are like Bloodlord Vladimir,
Hmm.
and yeah, I think that's the most popular one or something. But I've never seen that one before.
Yeah, that's definitely the most popular by far. I like this one because I was actually a big vampire fan back in the day. I love
Back in the day.
Twilight. Not Twilight, but Vampire the Masquerade, the board game, for instance,
Hmm.
was one of my favorites. And they had a clan called Nosferatu, which are just particularly ugly vampires in that set of lore. We are finally into the game. Exciting, exciting. Once again, looks like we have EA on the blue side and Amazon on the purple side. And we do see some pings coming down, but they appear just to be defensive pings at this moment in time.
Yep. It might be that EA is targeting this top brush right here. There are some pings going down, and most people are going in that direction. Lulu going down probably to put down a ward before joining them up there. Yep, I think she is going to put down that ward and then join them up at top. Meanwhile, the rest of Amazon is just kind of sitting here in mid lane.
Yeah, that's an unusual setup from Amazon. I guess they might be heading over to the opposing blue. They warded their own blue. So with a ward like that, they have free reign to head on over to the opposition. And they could, perhaps just cross paths here, but not knowing the entire time and be in the opposing jungle and just take each other's buffs, and no one will be the wiser.
Yep. Actually, Lulu
Except us.
might run into them if she. Oh no, she puts down a ward there to see them. So if they do decide to go for the blue, they will see it with the ward. Lulu going over towards the top side to join the rest of her team.
I do like this strategy by EA, but at the same time, if Amazon was just intending to go for their blue buff, then EA essentially would have wasted two wards. And I guess they would have coverage of their own red buff, and they would have taken the enemy red buff, so it would make it harder to counter. Oh, but you're also seeing a 2v1 here, so really advanced strategies coming down from EA.
Yep.
Advanced strategies in lots of wards, I love it.
Yep. And actually looks like they're going to go for the start at the double golems, and Misfortune picking up that small golem. And Mumu probably going to pick this one up to help him get some experience. They actually know this is going on because they saw the
Yeah, they
minions up
saw
here.
by the minions.
So they know they're at red, and the ward helps EA see that Amazon is at red, at their own blue, sorry. So they're going to see that. We see a lot of this level 1 action going on when you have a jungler like a Mumu, where it's widely seen as he needs to start at blue, but looks like he's just going to steal the red, defeating conventional wisdom, and go over here towards mid. Actually going to wait for Ryze to come back in lane, and he might actually get a gank off, get a lot of damage on Ryze.
So
Ryze
much
is a flash
damage!
out, and oh, he is able to get away, but that was a lot of damage going out. Now Mumu's going to go down. Is he going to go towards the enemy blue, or is he going to come back around for a gank? No, he looks like he might want to go gank again because Ryze's flash is down. Lee Sin is coming around. He might be looking for a counter gank, or might be looking to just go to his own jungle. Looks like he's just going to go to his own jungle. And Amumu is doing the enemy red, or blue, sorry. The red team's blue, but he's chased away. They know it was going on because of the war, so he's going to have to get back.
Yeah, Vladimir has had the unusual benefit of being a 1v2 laner who actually was going against no one for a while. So he got to pick up, 6 minions there and level 2, which normally doesn't happen until much later as a solo laner.
Yep, Lee Sin coming around, but the ward spots him out, so that was a very useful ward as well. So both wards coming to good. Oh, actually, Mumu coming in, gonna do some damage to him, and Kha'Zix is going in there as well, so Lee Sin might get caught out a little bit. He does get some damage. The exhaust going out to help him, and Ryze comes over to snare him for a little while, but he jumps in again and doing a lot of damage to Lee Sin, gets that first blood, and gives Mumu the assist. So great play, great ward usage to actually catch somebody out in their own jungle.
Yeah, and that was kind of interesting because Lee Sin on his own would be a lot stronger than a Mumu, but Kha'Zix early levels so much stronger than Ryze. As we saw, Ryze was coming over, but all he could do was, throw out one Rue Prison and a rather, I don't know, I hate to say it, but ineffectual overload there that didn't do that much damage to Kha'Zix at all, and certainly didn't stop him from jumping in on that Lee Sin.
Yep, and that actually allows them to go take this blue because they do not have, because they know the enemy jungler is dead. They're gonna go down now bot to go gank as a 3-man gank, 3-man here. Actually, Vlad is a little bit late, so he isn't there yet, but a flash coming out from Tarek allows him to get away. Lee Sin and Rise are coming in, though, so it's going to be a 4v3. The stun goes out on Amumu, and now he is going to be in a lot of trouble. Kha'Zix jumps out. Amumu has to flash forward. Is he going to die? Is he? Yep, he does give up the double buffs to the Graves, so that is going to be a problem. Meanwhile, up at top, there is some more action going down. We saw Singed actually fall, so let me back up a little bit. He got a lot of damage under turret, and he's going to get slowed by Lulu and then get that double up hit, and that it gives them another kill.
Yeah, Singed only 5 CS. Vladimir, well, he has double, but that's not that impressive at this point in time since he had 6, before anyone even got into lane. And now he's going to have a lot of trouble going against that double buffed Graves there. That is not going to be fun times for him.
Yeah, and that's going to allow Graves to really spam his skills and put down a slow whenever he auto attacks him, so that is going to be a lot of trouble for this Vlad.
Now, one thing we do see is, the CS between the AD carries greatly favoring Big Ol' Buns on Misfortune right now by about 10, and in large part that's because, Graves did have to deal with the gank that came bottom, and he did get the advantage of that, and it shouldn't have really, took him off 10 CS, so there is just some superior last hitting, it appears, from EA's side. And, in addition to that last hitting, 1 more kill and 1,000 gold up.
Yep, so Mumu actually took his own red, and actually that was never taken, so that was beneficial. He's going to come over to try for a gank, but a ward is going to spot him out. Over at top, Lee Sin is maybe looking for a chance to in-lane gank, maybe use his safeguard. Actually going in with the Ghost is Singed. Might flip somebody, does flip the Misfortune. Oh, flashes out and is not caught by the Lee Sin, but he's going in. The Exhaust goes out, and the Cleanse comes out from Misfortune to get that slow off of herself, but she gets flipped again and does die to the Singed eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that was just the power of Singed, essentially. Lee Sin didn't add all that much to the fight. And Singed, given that whole lane to chase down Misfortune, was able to put out so much damage. And that's exactly what he did, put out a lot of damage, made good work of that. I mean, Lee Sin at the time of going into that, had no buffs, was only level 3, didn't have much potential to do a lot of damage in that fight, and when he missed his skill shots had even less potential, but his presence there made the enemy run away and allowed Singed to do a lot of consistent damage, and they come away with the kill.
Yep, so Gasti actually is level 6 now. He is going down, he's going to get spotted out by this ward. It might have been looking to go down bot, but is going to come back into lane. Vlad over here is still having a bit of trouble, has about 27 CS as opposed to the 13, but he does have 27 CS as opposed to the 13 by Singed.
Yeah, I mean, Vlad is doing an excellent job. He has 27 CS compared to the 30 of Rise. And obviously, Rise is only going against one person in his lane. Now, Singed is going to pick up a lot of CS here. And the other thing Singed has actually been doing a really good job of is protecting his tower. You see his tower has about 2/3 of its life left.
We see the Lee Sin coming in. The Kha'Zix going to get a lot of damage to him. And the blue is going to be taken by Amumu. Lee Sin and Rise still looking for some action, but they're going to back off. Singed is also was looking to help, but is going to back off as well. He's going to spot out the Lulu and the Amumu out here, though, so they're going to know that Amumu is invading their jungle, and Rise is going to be in. The bandage toss does miss. Lee Sin is waiting in the bush, probably going to wait until they start this blue buff. Sorry, red buff. I'm getting these buffs mixed up all over the place, but until they start this red buff, and there might be another fight going down here.
I mean, yeah, and essentially this would be a 4v3.
Singed popping his ultimate, going to go in. Is going to flip Misfortune. He does flip Misfortune again in a bad position, gets snared. It's going to get a lot of damage on her, but Lee Sin doesn't focus her. Instead choosing to go on the Amumu, and Kha'Zix coming up to help out, and they are going to back off from this.
Yeah, and actually, the red buff was taken there by Lee Sin, I suppose. And it was a 4-on-3, so they actually came away as good as they could have expected. Kha'Zix just arrived a little bit too late to the party, but they had the advantage just thanks to the lane positions.
Yep, Lee Sin just clearing out his own red buff. Amumu going to come around and look to counter jungle Lee Sin a little bit here.
Yeah, this Amumu incredibly aggressive, but it hasn't paid off a lot, and the game is actually incredibly even here. Kha'Zix is heading down bottom, realizes they know it, and he heads back towards middle.
Yeah, actually Vlad used his ultimate, so he's going to be he's going to have to be careful because he's a little bit low. Amumu also a little low over in mid as well, and this is a Lee Sin is mid here now, and they're gonna try to push this out a little bit as Kha'Zix tries to cover the lane.
Yeah, bottom turret almost definitely going to go down. They're putting pressure on mid turret as well. I'm pretty sure Ryze, could have flashed forward and actually taken out a Mumu. If he just had a little more confidence, it would have been incredibly close. Flash forward, one more overload, and ignite. Probably would have done in that sad little mummy, made him even sadder. But instead, they put a little damage on that turret, going to go pick up their blue buff.
Yep. Ryze is a bit low on mana, so it's going to help him a lot. Lee Sin is a little bit low, but he should be fine. Ryze takes that with an overload and goes back to his lane.
Has been destroyed.
Yep, and that is the first tower of the game. Some good damage is probably going to be put on this top tower. Singed, wow, Singed being a little manly here.
He's very low. Lulu does have her ult up, so he might have to watch out for a tower dive if it happens. Lee Sin isn't close enough to help, but he is going to just back off, and that could be the tower as if they decide to push this.
He has teleport back up, so he should be able to jump back up there real quick. But he was afraid of letting them push that wave, so showed himself, proved that he was manly, and should probably be teleporting back into the lane. Although Graves is almost already up there, so he can save that teleport. That's pretty handy. Lee Sin's nearby as well, so Graves should be pretty safe, and that tower should be saved.
Yep, so Graves does cover this, and they're just going to back off, waiting around a little bit. Lee Sin is actually not going to go. Taric is going to go there, and Singe is going to go back bot, so they're going to do the lane switch after taking that tower.
Yeah, so Vladimir definitely doing a good job of CSing, 48 CS compared to the 32 of Singed, but the great thing about putting a Singed in a 1v2 is he's actually not that good. We did see him pick up that kill thanks to, the amount of damage he could put out. Oh, now he's sneaking up on a sad mummy.
Yep, it goes in on the sad mummy. Mummy is just going to take his own red, and Singed can't really do anything about it, but he's going to go over, spotted out by the ward, but it's just going to go back in lane.
Yep, and he has to be a little bit careful here, but the great thing about Singed is, it's hard to catch him, and he catches up in farm incredibly easy. So that's all he's going to do now, is just catch up on that farm that he's been missing out on.
Yep, and actually he's just farming without a care in the world. The Amumu and the Vlad are trying to get him, and he just pops his ult, and he's going to be hard to kill. Meanwhile, the Taric goes down to the Kha'Zix up top, but we're still, we'll keep on the Singed for right now. It looks like he is going to get away for now, so I'm going to back up a little bit so we can catch the kill. Kha'Zix goes in for a gank on top, gets the kill on the Taric really quickly with that burst damage. The cleanse going out from Graves, but that is not going to be enough to save him as Bigglebuns picks up that second kill.
Yeah, so 2 more kills, although that just evens it up in the gold difference thanks to that one tower. And, perhaps another tower taking a lot of damage in middle, but it is not going to go down. Lee Sin has been putting a little bit of pressure on mid, just being excited about chunking that turret down while Kha'Zix has been roaming. But so far, Kha'Zix 2-0-1 and has a good amount of farm underneath his wings as well.
Yeah, Lee Sin actually going to go top, and they might Ryze might kill Misfortune before this actually happens, and he does, using that flash to get away from that tower. So Lee Sin not even needed to help him out with that tower dive. Kha'Zix going to come over here, catch this Lee Sin. He's going to go back a little bit. Mumu comes in with that bandage toss, but is just going to back off from that as there are 3 people there. Yep, and now they're going to go back to their... But they might want to fight over this blue buff as it is up right now, and they do need Lulu there, so with some poke coming out from Kha'Zix. Lulu does come in. The teleport coming in from Singed. And is he going to flip somebody? He does flip Lulu, and Lulu is in a lot of trouble. Flashes out. Singed is also low, though, so he's going to have to be a little bit careful. The flash coming out from Mumu, and the Curse of the Sad Mummy. That is going to allow him to lock people up, but they are all very low. Lee Sin coming in, getting the kill on Kha'Zix. Lulu is also low as well. The final hit from Graves takes her out. But Misfortune is in this fight now, and she is going to force a flash from the Taric, and they're going to try to do this blue buff. They do it with the help of the smite from Lee Sin, and back off from this as well. So that puts them up actually in gold by about 800.
Yeah, really good showing there. Now, it is up in 800, but I mean, had everything else been equal, essentially they would be up by 1,000 by
actually,
that turret.
Over at top, we see Bigglebuns in a bit of trouble as they do get the stun on her. She does back up in time though, so she is fine for now. But we see that she did go for the Black Cleaver first build, and that is really just to get the extra damage on the bullet time.
Yeah, and Lee Sin takes down middle, and it looks like they're doing a lot of damage to top as well. So really good showing from Amazon here. taking down those turrets early on. Oh, they are going to have to back off thanks to that bullet time. But still, really good damage on the turret and more objective control. Looks like they'll pick up this dragon free of charge.
Yep, with the 2v2 going up on at top, and with the Mumu nowhere near, they are not going to be able to challenge this at all. Kha'Zix goes over to maybe look at it, but they do it too quickly for them, and he's down at bot. We see just Singe going in, farming up pretty well, is catching up pretty well right now. Has about 60 farm to Vlad's 80, so only about 20 down.
Yeah, I mean, Vlad has been doing a really good job this entire time, but of course, you know, he's 0-0-0. He hasn't been able to use his strength anywhere on the map. He did have to give up that first turret, so he really hasn't been able to use that extra farm he's got on Singe, while Singe has been able to teleport around the place, you know, protect his turret pretty well, and roam bottom and secure a blue buff for his team as well.
Yep, Misfortune putting down that ward. Actually, Lulu might get caught out despite the ward. Gets stunned, and she's going to get a lot of damage upon her. Uses the ult on herself, but that is not going to be enough as Misfortune gets out of there. Mumu is here as well, but they weren't able to do anything to respond.
Yeah, that Lee Sin doing a lot of damage. That's 5 points in Sonic Wave / Resonating Strike slash. So he is doing a ton of execution damage, and he has a lot of farm. You know, a Mumu, for instance, has 30 farm to Lee Sin's 71. Now, part of that is Lee Sin. Whoops, Sin's getting chased.
Singe is getting chased right now by the Kha'Zix. Is he going to keep on chasing this? He does get some damage. He gets a slow on Singed, but he's not going to be able to keep on chasing. Lee Sin coming around. Now they might turn this around. This is chased the other way. The ult going down from Vladimir is going to get a lot of damage on the Singed, and that is going to kill him. The Kha'Zix is very low as well. Oh, misses that Sonic Boom, and now the Vladimir is on the chase. Is he going to? No, he's not going to really chase that because it's hard to chase a Lee Sin, but that is a great turnaround. A turnaround of a turnaround to help them pick up the kill on Singed.
Sonic Boom is all I have to say about that chase. Oh my god, Mummy taking damage underneath the turret. Tarek nearly picking up a solo kill there. Instead, the turret goes down.
Yeah, that turret was actually doing most of the damage, and that stun helped keep him under there for a while, but the Mummy is going to actually... It was a little bit in a little bit of danger because of the Graves, but is going to back up even more and recall in a safer spot. Actually, the Vlad and the Rise getting in a fight over here, and Rise is actually going to pick up the kill. He tries to go into the pool, but dies anyway. So Rise picking up a kill there to go 2-0-1, and is getting stronger and stronger with those mana items.
Yeah, he has a lot of mana items already. I guess he's going for Glacial Shroud next would be my guess here, but he is doing a lot of damage, taking out Vladimir handily, and that is not something you want to see, especially once he picks up that Glacial Shroud. Suddenly he's not going to be afraid of Kha'Zix at all anymore. We do see that Kha'Zix roaming up top.
Yep, he's going to go over here. Is going to attack this Tark. Actually, chunk him down so much. The Lulu comes over to help. The ult coming out. But Rise is now here as well. He's going to put out a lot of damage. He's going to kill that Kha'Zix immediately. Misfortune tries to ult, but it is in a bad position, and she tries to get back. The ult coming out from Mumu, and that is going to get a lot of damage as well. But Mumu is low as well. He's going to burst it down, and now Misfortune has to get back. Rise picking up that triple kill, and down over here at bot, we see the dive going on Vladimir. The slow going down. The ult coming out from Lee Sin. He's going to get a lot of damage, and that is probably going to finish him off. And Lee Sin gets back, and that is another kill for Team Amazon.
Yeah, and things were going so well early for EA. Like, they had the roam on, they had control of the junglers, they had a really good level 1 strategy, but everything's just been downhill. Mumu hasn't been getting the farm he needs. Vladimir's been pretty strong, but he's just like hasn't been involved in a lot of these fights. And you know, then he got caught up by Rise, and we see Rise versus Vladimir with equal farm, and Rise had a huge advantage there. So certainly looking pretty good for Amazon at this point.
Yep, Kha'Zix's going to jump on this Rise actually. They're going to do a lot of damage to each other, but Rise is going to back up a little bit. The flash coming out from Kha'Zix, he's going to be able to get that kill on him. Yes, he does. Meanwhile, there was a fight over at top, still going on actually. Lulu trying to do some damage, but I think Graves took down Misfortune.
Down. Yep.
So I'm going to back up a little bit, a little bit more. So Biggle Buns going over here with Lulu does she get caught out here? Yes, she does a little bit. The stun coming out on Biggle Buns, and that is the burst damage as actually Tarek flashes out, and that is going to help them pick up the kill. So that is what happened there.
And while you were replaying, we saw another 2 kills picked up right off the tail end of that fight. Mumu picked up the kill on Tarek, and then Graves picked up the kill on Mumu. And Tarek is incredibly strong right now, and a lot stronger, I think, than Misfortune. Like, Misfortune has great utility thanks to that Black Cleaver, but Graves has a Bloodthirster and a Phantom Dancer. Those are 2 really big ticket items.
Yeah, and that is really the more traditional AD carry build, as opposed to the Black Cleaver AD carry, which is kind of using Misfortune as more of a caster for her ultimate rather than for the auto attack damage.
Yeah, and the idea behind that, of course, is it really helps out Kha'Zix, but it leaves Misfortune a little bit weaker on her own. And we've actually seen her, dive top a couple of times now, and has kind of been getting roughed up. Is sitting at 2 and 3, does have some nice farm at 140, but so far the game just not going in her way. And what they really want to do is get some team fights going, but Amumu still 34 farm. Last I checked was 3 levels behind Lee Sin, and yep, that is still the case, 11 to 8. So Amumu is not really in a state where he wants to be in the team fighting mode, but the rest of his team thrives around that composition.
Yep, we see Singe actually getting very low, but Kha'Zix is not going to chase this. Looks like Dragon is back up, and that is going to be the next point of contention. Both teams are around it. Looks like Amazon is starting it right now, and they are doing it pretty well. They have a pink over here, but does that pink see the ward? It does actually. They're not going to really care about this. Misfortune uses that ult, but actually a fight might break out after the Dragon goes down to Lee Sin. But after a little bit of poke, both teams do back off from this.
I can only imagine what was going on the Amazon's voice communication system. They're probably like, "Oh, we caught him! We already got the dragon. Let's fight!" And then someone else probably said, "Oh wait, we don't have Singe. Let's not do that. It's a 5v4." Because otherwise, it would have been a great battle for them. Kha'Zix was low still, I believe, and Misfortune had wasted her ult, essentially doing no damage to the enemy team. But Singe is a pretty important portion of their team at this point.
Yep, and they are actually going to wait around this Baron area, maybe looking to bait something out, but the ward does spot them out, so they know, actually the pink going down, but that does not see this ward over here.
That corner.
That is an extremely well-placed ward. Lee Sin going to get some damage on him, going to throw out that Sonic Boom, and some overload going out, and now Singe is here. He's going to run in with that, with the slow, but he's going to back off from this. So a lot of ward coverage near the Baron area for both teams right now.
Yeah, and Amazon knows they have the advantage. They're 5 kills up, they're 3 towers up. They are about 8,000 gold, and that's a large amount at 20 minutes in. So they probably want to fight here, but they also probably don't need to force it. I mean, they can just whittle away, and their team composition isn't the best at team fighting. They don't have that same AoE ult composition, so they don't want to get too anxious. And one thing here is...
Well, actually, Singe is in this bush. Gassy is going to have to be a little bit careful because Singe is in that bush, but they're going to back off from this a little bit. Ryze isn't there, so they don't want to fight just yet. Ryze is getting his own blue, is going to pick that up, but they're going to look to defend now instead of... EA, I mean, is going to look to defend now instead of being as aggressive as they were. And it looks like a Baron might happen right now.
Yeah, they don't have like the best of Baroning teams. Singe really doesn't bring a ton to doing Baron. Like, its consistent damage is okay, but it's pretty low against one single target. The great thing about him is he does AoE damage. But Ryze is causing havoc middle, and only now is EA thinking, oh, maybe they are at Baron.
Yep, they do peel off from it though, and they are decently low. The ult comes out from Vladimir, and the ultimate comes out from the Amumu, and that is a lot of damage going out. Ryze comes over behind here, and is he going to pick up a kill? No, actually he does pick up a double kill on Amumu, as he is able to get away. He is so tanky, able to do so much damage, and forcing EA back. So I think that was a 2-for-2 trade on what looked to be a fight in favor of EA.
I mean, yeah, that almost went terribly wrong for Amazon. They were trapped in that Baron pit. Graves got completely taken out of the fight, and of course had taken half of his life in damage from the Baron. But Ryze is just proving to be a monster.
Yep, actually throwing out overloads, doing so much damage that Lulu has to be careful now. Is going to back up, and they're going to continue the siege with just 3 people. No, they're just going to back off a little bit. Yep. Graves is going to take these wolves as they kind of regroup.
Oh, and just so happens, blue buff just spawned. I don't know if he had that in a timer, but he walked around the corner and blue buff was there. So it was either great timing on their part or like a great Christmas present.
Yep, Kozik's going in a little bit, but Tarek comes over to help out, helping the Rise get away, and Graves is going to go back as well, going to probably buy some items to help himself out, and looks like he's going for that last Whisper now.
Yeah, man, I feel like Amazon dodged a huge bullet. That fight could have gone so much worse for them, but now Lulu has this Oracle, and it looks like EA wants to pressure something around Baron. Now, I don't advise that they actually do Baron, but they can definitely catch someone out on the enemy team. But they're on, a very tight time frame here. Singe is pushing bottom. Looks like MF is going to go deal with him, but he can just push bottom forever. He has that teleport up.
Yeah, Singe is actually getting that slow on him. Misfortune is going to have to be careful she doesn't get flung. But the rest of EA is going to go chase this Singed. Singe is going to back up. They know this. That everybody's going after him. And he's going to go up river. He's going to meet 3 members of EA. And is going to go back to his own tower. So looks like the Baron is going over.
I love this strategy.
Going down now. Singe does have teleport though, so he can rejoin his team whenever he wants. The bandit shots from Amumu misses, and they're actually going to go in here and try to fight this a little bit. EA disengaging. The Kazakhs is very low. They're still chasing this, and Singe is going over as well. And looks like Singe does get that slow on. Is he going to get the flip on someone? Anyone? No, he does not get a flip. He does not get a flip. And the Amumu goes down. The bullet time goes out, but they are all very low. They are going to actually Singed falls to Kazakhs, but the rest of the team is about decently healthy relative to the healths of EA, so they're just going to be able to push this tower down and maybe even take the inhibitor.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to get the inhibitor. It looks like everyone else on EA will be completely healthy here. We do have a pair of home guard boots there on Kazakhs. He's ready to wreak some havoc.
Yep, and he actually is going to go over and try to wreak some havoc, but the exhaust goes down on him, and he falls to Graves, so the Misfortune coming here, going to pick up the kill on Tarek, so it was a 1-for-1 trade there, but an inhibitor tower down for Amazon.
That's probably not the kind of havoc that the Kazakhs had in mind there, but it was a noble effort. It almost turned out really well. He just died a little bit too fast, and the cavalry arrived a little bit too late. Yep,
Graves is low, is spotted out by the sword. They're going to actually do this dragon to give themselves a little bit more global gold, and that's going to put them up over 10,000 gold ahead in this game.
That's essentially a free dragon. You always get annoyed when I'm like, oh, free flash. You're like, there's no such thing as a free flash. It's kind of like free shipping for Amazon. And they say it's free. Not entirely sure. I mean, there are some requirements you have to meet, which is a good thing. We appreciate all of their benefits and whatnot. But in terms of that dragon, nothing. It didn't cost them anything. That's what we mean by free. Although I do say that, and mid-turret has finally gone down for the side of EA, so at least they're still showing some aggression. The lead at this point is nigh insurmountable, but they are fighting. They are still going ham, time and time again, and all these battles are actually ending incredibly close. The last 2 teamfights have gone 2-2 and 1-1, and granted, Amazon has had the advantage at the end of them, has had healthier people, but just one little thing changing in the favor of EA could mean a really big teamfight win for them.
Yeah, and the AoE Wombo Combo Comp for Team EA is helping them to, do well in these team fights despite being down in gold so much. They're gonna all back up as a group. Actually, the ward being dropped over the wall, but the vision they do have a vision ward on Baron, so they will know if it does go down. And vision ward being put down, and as I say that, Tarek is gonna take out that vision ward.
Yep. Man, Rise is incredibly strong. Banshee's Veil, Frozen Heart, and a Giant's Belt to boot, just for fun. Meanwhile, Graves also picked up a Giant's Belt. Vladimir, or rather Singed, Giant's Belt. Lee Sin, Giant's Belt. Only one without a Giant's Belt on the team for Amazon here is Tarek. He's left out of the group, but he's pretty tanky himself too, so
yeah,
no harm,
and this is going to be, Graves has that Giant's Belt as well as that last sword, so is both going to be doing a lot of damage and is going to be very tanky because he has health and he has that armor and magic resist from his passive, and he also has the armor from Rise. And now actually Amumu going in, he does ult catch Lee Sin and the Rise, and there's going to be a battle going, the teleport coming down from Singed as he does go in on the Misfortune. He's going to flip her over as the fight breaks into multiple pieces, but Misfortune actually doing a good job staying alive, and but is going to meet the wrath of Graves, does fall to her, and now the fling on Lulu picks her up as well. Kha'Zix is going to try to stick around, maybe pick up a kill, but isn't going to be able to do much as he is very low, and now they're just going to push mid and take this inhibitor.
And that was a 4-for-1. My favorite part of that fight was Kha'Zix, kind of thought he wanted to 1v1 against Rise. He chased him into the brush like he was going to go aggressive on Rise, and then decided to flash away, which was probably the better idea, but it was a pretty close fight, and it's actually repeating itself down bottom.
Yep, and Mumu and Rise going at it. Rise trying to get away from this. The stun coming out from the Taric is going to save her, and the rest of Team Amazon is over here. The flip going to go on. The Kha'Zix is going to jump over the wall, but is still very low, is going to be able to get away as Vladimir is there to help as well. So an inhibitor down, it looks like Amazon is going to be happy with just that. Going to take this red buff away and back up and regroup and maybe try to do that all over again.
That was a big jump by Kha'Zix. He's like a long jumper there. So certainly has evolved that skill and can jump anywhere he pleases. Meanwhile, Baron still in contention. It's still a lot of wards around there, and that's one thing you can say for Amazon here. 4 pink wards in the top half of the jungles there. One, of course, disappears as soon as I mention it, but still a lot of upper ward coverage in the jungle. And Messiah, Lulu, for EA is going to do her best to clear them out, but there's so many wards, I don't even know if she's going to be able to get to them.
Yep, is going to see the whip, sees the ward right there. Going to take that one out as well. Mumu is sitting on a ward, but that's about to run out too. So is Lulu going to be able to kill this ward before it runs out? No, she's not. They're robbed of some gold there.
And the one at Baron only has a couple seconds left as well. So Lulu, with all that potential gold on the map, just gets there just a little bit too late. Misses out on 3 wards.
Down at bot, we see a battle between Singed and Kha'Zix. Singed just running around with that poison on. Does have the slow from the Rallies, and is going to flip him. He's going to do a lot of damage to Gasty, who uses his ult to try to get away, but it's a pretty extended fight right now. Getting that slow on him, and Misfortune is coming over to help though, so Singed is going to have to back off from this.
Yep, but they can't chase him, because he is a Singed. So there we saw, something kind of unusual, where the Kha'Zix, who's 4-4 with 40 more CS than the Singed, couldn't even really take him down by himself, and really had no hope. And Singed didn't have to burn his ghost, and his team, while the other team was busy dealing with him, they just pick up Baron.
Yep, and Rise actually helping to just kind of zone people out instead of actually helping with the Baron. But they were able to do it quite well. They do have Baron buff now. Singed is down bot, but he doesn't have teleport, but I'm not sure if he needs it because they're just going to be able to actually, Lee Sin chasing this Amumu down is going to get a lot of damage on him. Gets very low, and meanwhile we see a Misfortune being dropped by the Graves. Gasty is in a lot of trouble as well as Lee Sin takes him out. And over on the other side of the map, people are just dropping like flies right now, and Vladimir looks like is going to be dropping very soon as well as he is. And Mumu is the last one left alive on Team EA, and he's trying to valiantly defend the space, but he's not going to be able to do much.
No. 5 people with Baron buffs, stronger than 1 level 12 Amumu. I think that is one lesson we can learn. The other lesson we can learn is level 1 strategy is always a great idea. Don't always necessarily mean you're going to win, but good showing from both of the teams here as Amazon does take the win and the higher seeding going into the playoffs next weekend.
Yep, so great game between these two well-matched teams. I think that is all we have for now. It was a best of 1, so that means that Amazon does get the higher seeding. So that is all we have. Thanks for watching us. I'm Zero Cardinality, and I was joined here by Sotir. So everyone, thanks for watching again. Have a good night.
Have a good night.